conditions at Al-Shifa Hospital remain critical. We do not have an update as of this morning, but we still have grave concerns for the patients and the staff in the hospital. We understand there are still 600 patients, of whom 36 of those neonates who don't have access to the incubators any longer because of the lack of fuel. We understand there are still 27 critically ill patients, around 280 staff, and between 3,000 and 4,000 displaced persons taking shelter. Of course, the military incursion over the last 24 to 36 hours complicates that medical work incredibly. We're looking at options to evacuate the hospital. Some patients have been able to leave, but my understanding is that has not been the case for probably around, again, 48 hours. So we are looking at options for medical evacuation, but there are a lot of security concerns. There are a lot of logistics constraints. Our options are rather limited, but we hope to have some better news in the next 24 hours or so. To organize a medical evacuation such as this in such an insecure setting is very, very complicated. Firstly, you need to secure security guarantees and safe passage for any convoy. Negotiations with the Israeli Defense Forces are being managed through the UN offices. WHO does not do the direct negotiation on those issues. So the Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Assistance manages that element of the evacuation process. Then we have to prioritize the patients who would be moved first. So we'd be looking at the most critically ill, and again, those neonates. So we're going to be working with the doctors and nurses in the hospital to do that prioritization and come up with a list and make sure that they have companions, that parents travel with the neonates. But that's been a difficult exercise because our communications with the hospital is cut off most of the time. The third issue, of course, is just the lack of fuel. And so the Palestinian Red Crescent Society says right now of the 25 ambulances they haven't had sufficient fuel to move north. They're reluctant to use all of their ambulances at any one time because if there is a security incident, that could make things difficult to manage ambulance services. So we're looking at A, how do we get the fuel, and B, how many vehicles and therefore how many evacuations we could run at another time. Another option is moving ambulances from Egypt. The Ministry of Health ambulances here. They are open to the idea, provided we can confirm the security guarantees and the safe passage. So we're also in negotiations with them. So the idea is that we would bring the majority of patients over days or weeks from Shifa. There's 600 of them. We don't have too many ambulances. We'd bring the bulk of them to hospitals in southern Gaza, but those hospitals are already overwhelmed as well. So that's another complicating factor. The other option is, of course, to bring a number of them to Egypt. And again, the Egyptian authorities being very generous in that regard. And whether we can bring them down to the border through vehicles in Gaza or not, or whether we send Egyptian vehicles into Gaza, these are the issues that we're trying to sort through. So many considerations, many complications, and this is still a work in progress. The humanitarian and health situation in Gaza really is catastrophic. Prior to the conflict, we estimate that there were probably 3,500 beds in hospitals across Gaza. As of today, there's probably only 1,400. And that's at a time when the health needs are really skyrocketing because of the massive increase in trauma cases, over 29,000 trauma cases, over 11,000 deaths. So how do we provide healthcare to patients in that context? You know, we've got colleagues on the ground, they're telling horror stories about how the functioning hospitals, the remaining hospitals are completely.
يقوم الآن الطاقم الطبي بمتابعة الأمر لوجود ضباط كثير. الآن يختنقون من هذه الغازات التي تنبعث من القذيفة التي أطلقت على مبنى التخصصات. إذا الاستهداف مباشر لمبنى التخصصات يتم الأمر صعب ومعقد للغاية. يتم إجلاء المرضى الآن من داخل القسم لوجود غبار ودخان كثيف يسبب اختناق المصابين.
تعال خالد
يتم إجلاء غبار كثيف في المكان.
Yeah, no, nothing came in. I think they fucked up themselves. So, yeah. I think nothing definitely came in.
Ô Vitor,